covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
All right, welcome to Kentucky's Voice, the only program in the state of Kentucky and the city of Louisville that deals with news and politics from a conservative perspective. And so, you know, and really at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road, it's local politics, it's state politics. That's what affects you more than anything else. I mean, it's fun to track national stuff that does impact you in some ways, in many ways. But what happens here at home in your community affects you more on a day-to-day basis than anything that's going on in D.C. And so that's why it's important to stay informed, listen to programs like this. Well, really, we're probably the only program like this, the only local conservative, oriented program like this. So we thank you for watching and appreciate you doing your citizens' duty here as a proud Kentuckian listening to this program, because we're endeavoring to inform you on all things news and politics and culture. And so I'm going to bring in my co-host today, Bob Scott. And Bob, we've got an awesome show today. We have a really cool guest we're going to bring out in the next segment, and she is the head of Turning Point USA, the University of Louisville chapter of Turning Point USA. She's the new president. We interviewed the former president a few weeks ago. This is the new president that's just recently elected. So we're going to talk to her about campus life and just what life's like on campus and what her vision is, and Turning Point USA and all things going on with that right now. But so Bob, welcome to the show. Hey, Bob, you and I had a conversation this morning, and I think we ought to just talk about it. And I don't know if you had that call with our friend of ours that was concerned about this topic, but yeah, a few weeks ago
I did.
Yeah, we did. Okay, so is it okay to talk about this? Because I'm going to go and talk about it. Because I'm going to.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's
okay. So what we did is we did a show on we were kind of handicapping the Senate primary race with basically who's going to replace Mitch McConnell. So the GOP primary race, and we had some stats showing that the race was pretty close between Cameron, Barr, and Morris, and it was basically neck and neck, and all in the 20 range. Well, we got that information erroneously. We got it from AI. Okay, I'm going to blame AI for this. So we did some research. We did a little bit of show prep using AI, and it gave us these stats that this is the current polling, and so we just ran with it. We thought, well, surely AI's right. Well, it was wrong. It was totally wrong.
Fatal mistake.
It was totally wrong. So let that just be a warning to anybody who uses AI every day. When it comes to stats, you first of all ask it to double check its stats. It says so. We did that this morning. He said, "Hold on, how did you get this number? You got this wrong." And it took a minute, like 2 or 3 seconds. And finally said, "I'm sorry, I made an error." And I'm sorry, I made it. And I'm like, it's like you embarrassed us across the whole state. Anyway, now it's Grok. I'm blaming Grok for that. I mean, Grok's great. I use Grok all the time, but AI got that wrong. So really right now, who's leading is Cameron. Cameron's probably around 39% or 42%, depending on, there's 2 polls that were taken. They were both internal polls, one with the Cameron campaign, one with the Barr campaign, and they're both showing Cameron way ahead. But Barr is sneaking up. Barr is actually getting closer. He's like anywhere in the 25 range, mid-20s. And then Morris is down there between 8 to 10. And so right now, Cameron looks like he has a strong lead, but there's a huge undecided, vote there in both of these polls. Now,
it was like 26, 27%.
That's right. Yeah. So and these are both early polls. They're internal polls. They polled about 1,000 people, And so Bob, if you and I have time, we ought to make 1,000 phone calls and just try to see if we can do our own poll. I'd love to just do our own Kentucky Voice
We
poll.
could do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Maybe we can recruit people at TPUSA, UofL chapter. I don't know. Maybe they can make some calls for. Who knows? We'll talk to our chapter president after this segment. But we should do our own poll and figure out who's really in the lead. But right now, it looks like Cameron's in the lead. Still early. Apparently, Barr and Morris are more well-funded, from what I'm reading. But so
That's
anyway,
correct.
so it is still an open race, still early. And guess what, Bob? We are going to have a debate. We're going to try to get a debate going with all these guys in May here at Kentucky's Voice here in Louisville. And so we're going to do some outreach on that here the coming week, and hopefully we can pull that together. And hopefully that will help you make an informed decision. So anyway, okay, we'll be right back with our guest today is going to be Elizabeth Gangwer with TPUSA University of Louisville chapter. We'll be right back on Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush, and with my co-host, Bob Scott. And we have a special guest today. We're going to get right to that guest. It is Elizabeth Gangwer. Gangwer. I'm saying that right.
Hi.
Gangwer.
Yes.
Is she okay? Great. She is a student at the University of Louisville. I believe you're a sophomore. Is that right? Is it
Junior.
Junior. Okay. All right. Don't want to sell you short. Junior at the University of Louisville, and you are the new chapter president for TPUSA, and so that is awesome. So first of all, we as fellow travelers in the all things conservative and on the right, we're very proud of you, and we want to thank you for taking the lead and stepping up and being wanting to be a chapter president. So thanks for that. But we want to just talk about TPUSA campus life. People are really curious about things on college campuses these days because I think people understand the dynamics of college life. That it's those institutions are really left wing, but from an educational standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, and so even from the student body, very much so. And so it can be a challenge to be a conservative on campus. So let's just talk about that. What made you decide to be involved with TPUSA and what's it like on campus?
Yeah, of course. Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Tom and Bob, for inviting me to talk today. It really means a lot. So I got involved with Turning Point for a couple reasons. And first was just for the social aspect to really connect with people, like-minded people, and make friends. But two, most importantly, I wanted to challenge myself. I really wanted to put myself out there. And I had been a follower and supporter of Charlie Kirk for quite some time. I believed in everything that he stood for. I myself grew up in a conservative household. So just following in his footsteps and hopefully cultivating what he started was important to me for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think folks that are, Gen Z, millennial, if you are on social media at all, you've seen a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff over the past couple of years. They really leaned into the social space and which is awesome because it's encouraged a lot of young people to kind of frame their thinking in a little more conservative alignment. And so I'm sure that impacted you and some others. And so, so great. So you're now the chapter president. I forgot, what was the former chapter's president name? I forgot her name. It was
Ashley.
Ashley. Yeah, we had her on a few weeks ago. Wonderful young lady. She just graduated. So
Yes.
So that's great. So what's Turning Point? What do they do on the for people who don't know what Turning Point USA? What do they do on campus? What is some of the things that they champion, or what are some of their activities, or what's it about?
Yeah, so we're a political organization, although we are nonpartisan. So basically, anybody on campus can join, any student. We advocate for things like limited government, freedoms, faith, basically anything that the national organization follows in. We have tabling events each week, normally, where we just have a specific theme and we promote those ideas on campus, and we try to engage in conversation with students by growing our membership, but also just talking with people and trying to have those conversations. For example, the theme might be pro-life one day, or maybe one week it'll be about pro-Second Amendment rights. So we do that. We also try to hold speaker events, which is really, really crucial because not only are we engaging as many people as possible to come to those speaker events, whether you're in the club or not, but we're also learning from these professionals and these leaders who have kind of gone through what we have, and we can really learn from them. So for example, in the past, we had Ian Hallworth. He was a speaker last spring semester of 2025, and he came in and he talked about kind of pro-life stuff, but also how men should be more involved in abortion issues, how it's not just the woman's decision, but also the men should be more involved. We had two different people this fall semester talk about the importance of expressing your opinion on campus and how faith and religion play a role into that. And there was a Q&A with that. So students and even adults who weren't even part of the university showed up and they asked questions, and it was a really meaningful conversation and experience.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Wow. Great stuff. Well, I'll tell you, whenever you have those sort of events, speaker events, let us know. We'd love to promote it. And I assume it's open to more than just students, right? I think anybody can come to those type of events. And if they were,
Yes,
okay,
correct.
okay,
For
very good.
for the speaker
Yeah,
events
I'm going to bring
especially.
Bob here in a second, but I got one more question for you. What's it like tabling on campus? I mean, do you have any experience? Have you done that yourself? What's
Yes.
tell me about your experience with some of that.
Right. So it's definitely difficult, as you can imagine, on a liberal campus. We have had some negative encounters, people who start arguments and say harsh things to us, but we kind of just try to spread more positivity and kindness.
That's
That's
it.
how we treat those situations, handle it maturely and be the better person, because we understand it is a liberal campus, and we all have different opinions and we have to respect each other. One way or another. There's been days when we had barely anyone come up to our table and they just kind of walk by, which is kind of understandable. So, my hope as the next president and with this new leadership unfolding is that we really try to find ways to engage with other U of L students and reach those different audiences, because of course it's important to grow our numbers from within and gain as much support as possible. I mean, that's important for any club or organization, but it's more so important that we focus on how to agree to disagree with other people, how to just challenge one another, but respect each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's so important. Bob, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Elizabeth, you were mentioning you doing the tabling events, and obviously there's other organizations that be doing the same thing, liberal organizations. Do you see that kind of pushback happening with them, or is it just exclusively set to you guys?
Um, as far as like a whole other club going against us, not necessarily. There, I mean, we have a socialist club, but I don't think they've really interacted with us. Maybe more so individual members here and
I'm
there.
talking more about the folks that are coming by, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, are you do you see that kind of pushback happening with them, or is it just mainly happening with you all?
I would say it's definitely happening with us, due
Hmm.
to just previous encounters that we've had, and just we've had some. We had to deal with an awful situation over the fall. And so, yeah, we don't really see that with other organizations that are kind of the opposite of us. And that really is just because of how the political culture here is on campus. And
Is and I didn't mean to interrupt, but is that awful situation? Is that where they were actually people were putting up uh, prints,
Flyers.
paintings,
Yeah.
yeah,
flyers
yep.
of
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk or depicting his assassination and
Mhm.
taking a shot to the neck.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We there honestly there wasn't much we could do about that situation, because the only thing that we could do was call on security to kind of take it down, because the students themselves couldn't take that down,
Yeah.
because it was a board with other flyers of other things like freedom of speech, so to speak. So we appreciate how security handled that situation, but we don't
Hmm.
really appreciate how the university as a whole handled that situation. They kind of just seemed to look the other way. I
Hmm.
know the president sent out kind of an apology, sort of addressing that situation, but it wasn't. I think all of us can agree it wasn't really wholeheartedly a meaningful message, because he probably wouldn't have sent that message if security didn't do anything.
Right.
Um, so it was difficult for us, because we were saying, this is wrong. This is morally wrong. Why would someone put up this hateful content and
Yeah.
basically incite violence even more? So
That's right.
it struck a nerve in all of us, but I'm proud that we stood our ground and we didn't fight back with any negativity or anything. We just kind of had to pull through that situation together and get past it with time. And it didn't discourage us from continuing to table and have meetings,
Good.
from that speaker event. So yeah, we pushed
You know
through.
what? You guys are courageous just the one of the main messages that Charlie preached and talked about. In fact, talked about it a lot. Is just to be courageous. Not
Yes.
afraid to stand up and speak the truth. And I applaud you and all the other young people that are with you, standing with you for a time such as this. We need more of you out
Yes.
there.
Yes, I agree. I mean, now more than ever, we live in a dark political and spiritual world, especially with the increase of political violence. And Charlie understood that. He spread truth and light, and that is exactly what I and this club intends to do. Is to just bring about as much positive change, no matter how big or small. And if we talk more and we ignore each other less, if we disrespect each other less, then that is ultimately going to lead to more change. Because how are we going to get anywhere if we can't talk about things and just agree to disagree?
Very good.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, Tom. You can wrap up.
No, say yeah, very good. Thanks. So we'll be right back with Elizabeth. If you have a question for her, give us a text us at 571-0970, 502-571-0970 here at Kentucky's Voice. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. And first of all, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. This next week is Christmas, and I think Christmas Day is a week from today, I think. So we probably won't be doing the show live.
Yeah, you know what, Tom? We're not going to be on the air
We're not
now
gonna be
that
on
you
the air.
mentioned that.
That's right.
And I'm talking about you and I,
That's
our
right.
show for golly, about 10 days, roughly.
That's right, exactly. So we're going to have to wish everybody a Merry Christmas right now and blessed New Year. And it's a great time of the year and for family and also for faith and reason for the season and all that. So Bob, we have a great guest. Let's get back to our guest because she's awesome. So Elizabeth Gangwer, she is the TPUSA University of Louisville chapter president, the newly elected chapter president, and we were talking about all things campus life at the University of Louisville. And yeah, it sounds like you weren't getting a whole lot of support from the administration there on campus, which doesn't surprise me. Liberal colleges, they're just inherently going to have a bit of a suspicious, attitude towards anything conservative. So doesn't surprise me, but still, if anybody listening, we can do anything to support this group on campus, we should do it. We should actually reach out and just help you guys morally, pray for you guys, encourage the administration to treat you well. And
well, listen, let me say, I got to jump in here.
Go ahead.
It's a liberal institution, and let me rephrase it: a liberal public institution,
right?
That
we
receives funds from the state of Kentucky,
right,
in which our legislature is conservative by nature and overwhelmingly conservative. They need to be treated as fairly, and I'm talking about the students of Turning Point. Any conservative student there needs to be treated as fairly as anybody else. Whether you're from the left or the right, this nonsense has got to come to an end.
Yeah, that's right. This nonsense, and also conservative students need to feel safe on campus. And I wasn't going to get into that just this quickly, but to add on what you're saying, right now, conservative students are a bit uneased right now, especially with this situation with Brown University. Anybody's followed that case, that those murders that just happened this past weekend. It looks like it could have been a targeted, murder, assassination, or whatever you want to call it, of a young woman who was involved in college Republicans there. And so that sends a chilling effect. And we need to see both our state and our federal officials need to really go after this stuff and make people on that side, the radical left who thinks that now violence is a solution, and violence works because they're thinking that now, because the Charlie Kirk assassination in their mind was very effective, because it's caused a lot of chaos on the right, and we can get into that another topic. But we need to really go after these people and create a sense of a fear on that side to want to do this stuff, because violence. Well, anyway, whatever. Everybody understands this. We need to go after them, and I don't want to change the topic from our interview to that, but Elizabeth, let me just ask you this. I mean, we see these sort of situations, and so we look at students like yourself that are stepping up, and first of all, we all are very appreciative, and we want to pray for you and support you more than ever. But how does a situation like Brown make you feel? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, and what are your fellow students even thinking about that or talking about that?
Yes. Well, first, my heart and my prayers go out to all the victims and the families and friends involved in that situation. It's awful, absolutely horrific. Yes, there's been lots of ties to saying that it is politically related. Of course, that does concern me, and really any college student in general. Could our university be next?
Right.
This could very well happen anytime, anywhere, and especially towards conservatives and Republicans. So it does worry me. I'm sure I've talked with some of my friends too. It really worried them as well. It's just awful that we are still seeing political violence, and just after everything with Charlie, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
my hope is that we can just communicate with our students how important this issue is and how important it is to come together and just be able to be friends and be able to learn from one another. We're all different people. We come from different backgrounds, and that is what is college. That's what college is all about. And why not embrace that and embrace the adversity?
That's right. That's right. Well, and it takes a lot of courage to be in your position right now,
Yes.
more than ever. And so we applaud you for
Yeah.
that. And you're right. One thing about Turning Point USA that's wonderful is the fact that they're all about just dialogue. They're all about let's just talk. Let's just sit down and talk. We have a table here. We're going to bring up an issue. Let's sit down and talk. Let's
Yeah.
work this out. That's how you navigate, cultural, political, controversial cultural issues successfully, and is to discuss these things. And so the idea that if we can't no longer talk, the only option then is just we go into our little tribal camps and we fight it out, and that's not what America's about. That's not what we need to be
No.
about. And so
Mm-mm.
so what TPUSA is doing is the solution. You are the solution for what's wrong with this country, and so groups like yourself and discussions like that. So anyway, I also wanted to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, you are part of University of Louisville athletic royalty here. Your father actually played at the
Yes.
University of Louisville. He was a football player. Dan Gangwer, back in the
Yeah.
I think early '90s, and so there's a great connection there, and so we appreciate that. I'm a UofL grad as well. Bob, he's all UK, so watch out. He might drop a
Oh.
pretty mean question here in a minute because he's like that.
No mean questions
Those
today.
those
That's
UK
for sure.
fans are like that. But
We're all one. That's
right. That's
what,
right.
what I'll say. We
right.
are.
red,
for
white,
sure.
and blue is in the flag, and so we're all red, white,
That's
and blue in
right.
this thing. So,
Very good.
but there we go. But anyway, Bob, I'm take it. You had a thought you wanted to share. I think.
No, it is refreshing, to see someone like Elizabeth, and her mom also went to school. That's where her mom and dad met. Was
That's
at
right.
UofL. So as you mentioned, Tom, it's a pretty strong legacy there, and she's from the Ohio area, and it's just, again, it's refreshing to see someone that comes in. Her family is, by her own admission, a conservative family, and to come in and be willing to take a stand. It says in I believe the book of Esther, for a time such as this, and that's what we find. And I can't tell you, Elizabeth, how much good this does my heart. In fact, I'll probably start getting weepy if I talk about it too much. But to see young people like yourself, the Generation Z people, willing to step up and show courage and fill the void. I know we have just a little over 2 minutes to go. Please share anything else that's on your heart right now.
Yeah. Another thing, my parents and I have had conversations about this. How when they went to school, they were like, it was not this liberal when we went here.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
actually, it's not
Mm.
just Louisville; it's most of the colleges campuses that we see today
That's right.
have just totally shifted. Um, to which now
Mm.
students are judged and not treated fairly. Whether that's between the administration, staff, and professors, or just students too, because you have to remember, yes, administration staff, they play an integral part in shaping the political culture there on campus, but students are the heart of the university too. So they can shape how students behave and interact with one another too, or just not do anything about negative environments. So yeah, it's very interesting to see just how much it's changed, and it makes you wonder, okay, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Why is nothing being done about it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, I've heard this before, and I think it's true. Universities now are really just left-wing seminaries. They see themselves as sort of saving the world by indoctrinating kids to think left-wing, and so they see conservative students on campus as running against their agenda. And unfortunately, I think it is true. Universities have an agenda. Now, it used to be you just go to university, explore ideas, and we just kind of
Mhm.
educate you, and then everybody comes out with however they want to think. No, no, it's not anymore. There's an agenda to shape minds to think of the world in a left-wing perspective. And so if you have a child, if you have a young person going to school, going to university, they need to be involved in a group like TPUSA, or else they will get swept up in the current of that left-wing viewpoint. And so we encourage, if you have kids at UofL, get a hold of TPUSA, get a hold of Elizabeth, support that group, and we're going to support you, Elizabeth. Whatever you need, you let us know. And we'll be right back. Thanks for joining us, Elizabeth. We'll be right back in Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We want to thank again Elizabeth Gangwer for being on the show with us, president of Turning Point USA UofL chapter. Just a wonderful young lady, and we're going to continue to support her and pray for her and all things TPUSA. And I didn't bring up, the whole controversy with TPUSA that's going on right now with the whole Candace Owens stuff and all this stuff. It's kind of in the gutter stuff, but it is concerning on some level, Bob, because you've got
Yeah.
TPUSA that did so much to get Trump elected, to help change the electorate, to change the minds of young people, and we see those on what we consider all those on the right to be coming after TPUSA and all this weird stuff.
I think it's intentional, Tom.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's an intentional attempt to try to divide. I've talked about it a million times. United we stand, divided we fall. Our state motto
That's right.
is coming into play. And you know what? We need to get off that, folks. We need to get on the same wavelength, if
Same
you will,
page.
and start
Yeah.
moving forward. In fact, I got to mention we did get a text in
Yeah, please.
regarding the last segment. And thank you for you who texted into us. But you said, I believe one of the things that emboldened the liberal is that the conservatives are not going to target them, are not going to fight back and yet turn the other cheek. So they just go on and on, similar to what just happened to the older woman at Target for wearing a red Charlie Kirk shirt. That is making the internet. I don't know if you've seen it
Yeah.
yet, Tom, but an older lady was basically verbally assaulted
Yeah.
because she had the audacity to wear a Charlie Kirk shirt,
That's right.
into Target, and it's despicable.
It's
I
despicable.
mean,
And it looks like somebody started a GoFundMe for her and have raised like $100,000 for her for what for, I guess, for her legal defense. I don't know what it is, but it's just for getting, supporting her for standing up.
well, you know what?
Yeah.
She responded in grace.
She did. She really did.
And wasn't
Yeah.
making a
Some liberal Karen coming after
spectacle
her.
of
Yeah.
herself while the other
Yeah.
crazy far left liberal was doing so. And again, how often do we see this? This is almost a
Yeah.
daily thing
That's right.
that happens. And this rhetoric has got to come to an end. And I've got plenty of good friends that are on the left side of Democrats that I know that they don't agree with this, and they wouldn't personally ever do this. But you know what? We all need to start calling that out.
Absolutely.
When we're seeing it happen.
We
And-
do. And also, and beyond just that incident, just the issue with violence against conservatives. the administration, the FBI, law enforcement in general needs to really do their job right now. We're on a precipice. The country is on a precipice. It is on a precipice. Okay, because here's what's going to happen. The left's going to get emboldened because the most effective political assassination in this country's history has been Charlie Kirk. That's been the most effective political assassination. It silenced a very important voice, and then it triggered a bunch of chaos on the right. And so the left sees that. Probably this joker at Brown that shot this young lady, he probably saw that. Antifa seeing that. There was talk of the administration going after Antifa and making them a terrorist organization. But I haven't seen any arrest. I want to see some perp walks. I want to see some leftists really thrown in jail and punished. And the left needs to see that. Because if the left doesn't see that, they will keep doing this. And here's what will happen. The right eventually will say, okay, it looks like no one's going to protect us. Maybe we should rally and do something about it, and this is where the country breaks down into a civil war. Now this might be a little bit hyperbolic here. I don't want to encourage that thinking because, we have a responsibility as media to not encourage violence. But I'm just talking about how human nature is and how politics works in countries and how conflict and political conflicts will play out. If you don't have law and order and a system of justice that starts coming after the bad actors on one side that are doing violence, the response from the other side will eventually be to respond in violence because they're going to have to do that today just to protect themselves on some level. It's like, listen, the government stopped protecting us, folks. So they're just going to keep killing us, and we're not going to give up our values, and we're not going to be conquered by this radical ideology. So what are we going to do, folks? Let's sit around and figure out a plan. And it's usually throughout history, it's been, okay, let's form our own little militias and let's go out and attack the other side. We don't want that. That is not America. But I tell you what, that's human nature, and there's a point where that's a just response.
Correct.
There's a point where that is a just response, and so we absolutely have to get our law enforcement, our government, our administration to get on this and get these left wings, radical leftists, communists, gay race communists that are violent, shut them down. Shut them down right now. And Bob, listen, you and I, what are we doing right now in this program? We're voices on the right, just like Charlie Kirk on some level. There's probably some local left winger watching this show, going, "Hey, you know what? I don't like these guys." And somebody's calling me now. So you know what I'm saying? So this impacts me as well. And you, and anybody that's on the right, that's doing any sort of anything that's impactful. So get in gear. All right, the Trump administration, go after this stuff, shut it down for the sake of our country. Yeah. So anyway, that's my rant. But I didn't want to. I wasn't my intent in this segment to talk about that. But I'm glad we brought it up because it needs to be dealt with. And so I encourage anybody that has any influence on that topic to let's go after these folks and make them
I'm
pay.
with you, brother. I know you got a video that you want to share.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, we got 5. Okay, sorry, I can rant forever. Okay, we're gonna talk about another topic. Okay, we're talking about the battery plant. Going back to a little more mundane stuff here, but it's really important because this is a pretty dramatic little spat that's happened between Bashir and one of our congressmen, Guthrie, and I think it's 2nd District. Yeah, Bashir. Whenever we mention him, we have to bring up No Kings. But let me play this clip, and this is about the. Well, I had it pulled up. Did I have it pulled up? I don't have it pulled up, Mr. Producer. Do I have it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, here we go. This is Guthrie and Bashir sparring back and forth about the battery plant, the layoffs down that Ford made at the battery plant in Elizabethtown. I'm sure you've heard about this story, but we'll unpack it here in a minute.
It's just absurd what he said.
I'm still amazed that the president would push through such a job-killing bill that cut subsidies and grants that companies and people had relied upon. And it's really disappointing that Brett Guthrie, who has 3 EV plants in his district, would be the one that champions it, pushes it through, and doesn't make any changes at all to protect those plants. So if we have people that lose their jobs, or jobs that are not created, your own congressman did it to you, and that's really, really wrong.
But I know that's a liberal pipe dream. The liberals want everybody running around in an electric car. We don't have the grid for it. We don't have the charging stations for it. And right now, we don't have the demand for it. It's just absurd what he said. I know that he's running for president, so he has to make those kind of comments because he has to satisfy a very liberal base if he wants to be the Democratic Party nominee for president. But I will tell you, mandating everybody buy an electric car is not what the American people want.
That's right.
It's just absurd.
That's right. There we go. So, a little sparring
Not
back
what
and forth.
the American people want.
That's right.
I could not agree any more than what the last statement by Congressman Guthrie. Everything he said. It's not a sustainable thing, and it's absurd. It's a pipe dream. It's something. Yes, we all want a cleaner world, but I've never been on board with electric propulsion vehicles. I think there's other things that's being explored, such as hydrogen fusion and things like that are much more cleaner, even more sustainable, more reliable, that need to be explored and looked at. And I've been throwing around the word despicable a lot today, but I have to again put our governor in that, trying to play the blame game instead of stepping back. And I know our colleague Andrew Cooperrider has been doing great work, on this and really digging down deeply with regard to what's going on. The fact that our state and the governor led the charge.
Yeah.
I'll say that again.
That's right.
Economically, to invest millions upon millions of taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Into an unproved, and then no way of really securing it or getting our money back.
That's right.
That's all on Andy. That's not on anybody else but Andy Beshear.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. When the government starts getting involved in the marketplace and starts putting its foot on the scales, it's dangerous and it can result in things like this, where the taxpayers lose, and that's basically what they did. They took a bet on electric vehicles. And they looks like they lost, and they took a bet on it because ideologically that aligns with their worldview of this global warming garbage, and all this fakeness. I've got a little response from Ford Motor Company about this spat that I want to put up on the screen. Ford responded to this little exchange. He said, "We have observed lower than anticipated industry-wide EV adoption rates due to changes in consumer sentiment, competitive dynamics, and legal and policy changes. Ford appreciates Chairman Guthrie's support for the American auto industry, and we look forward to our continued partnership with them and the state of Kentucky." So it sounds like they're, taking Guthrie's side on this, which, maybe.
You think so?
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. So, Mr. Governor, you've got some, fault on your hands there, and now what they need to do, and the state needs to do, is they need to enforce the deal that they had with Ford Motor Company, because I think that, I may be wrong on this, but I think the deal was that they were supposed to create at least 2,500 jobs, and if they did, then they could. This loan was forgivable or something, and maybe I might have the details wrong, but so the state needs to follow up and do their portion of it as well, because this is our money that went into this plant. Thankfully, it looks like they're going to repurpose the plant for some
that's the talk,
battery
and that's
storage
what we're all
and
hoping and praying for.
Yeah, data stuff. So because E-Town has been through a lot with this drama. It was a boom town for about
Good
3 or 4
people over
years.
there.
Great people, love. I've got some business interest in E-Town as well, and it's just I've seen it as boom town, and now it's like what? We all moved here, and now we lost our jobs. So it's a mess, and it's because of this. Global warming, ideas, whatever. It's a shame. The governor's at fault here. So we'll be right back on Kentucky's Voice, and love to hear your comments. 5710970. What do you think about the battery plant debacle in E-Town? 5710970.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us, speak up, stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again.
Yeah, there we go. Our great president. And somebody said that he bamboozled the press last night by teasing that he might announce war on Venezuela. So all the networks covered it. And really what it was is just a speech to highlight their accomplishments as the administration. But
yeah,
Bob,
and I got to say
thoughts?
that is true, and because that was the word that was going out, that this was going to, they were really throwing out some red meat as they like to do, and the press took the bait. They interrupted prime time programming at 9 p.m. And essentially, I shouldn't be laughing, but I can't help that. That's just so classic Donald Trump that he had everybody tuned in, listening, and lays out exactly, the achievements that have happened, since he became president. And, the Democrats have done a pretty good job recently of capturing the narrative that they're the ones there to fight for the common man, and that the problems have been created by Trump. Nope. The problems were there.
That's right.
And Trump had to clean up those issues, and he's doing that.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, and he's pivoting to focus on those issues too, because first part of the administration had a focus on immigration, also a lot of international stuff. All the peace deals he was doing around the world, trying to get the Russia-Ukraine thing solved. So there was an impression of, okay, he's jet setting all over the world, but hey, we still have this economic crisis. So rightly or wrongly, that was the impression. So he is definitely pivoting to this issue very directly, and I think they're making a strong case here, and he did that in the speech last night, that one of the big impacts on inflation is just the immigration issue. The reason why house prices have shot up, the reason why all the commodities and good prices have shot up, because there's so many more people in the country consuming, and and so that's just what happens: supply and demand. I mean, it's just the marketplace. And so if you just get rid of 20 million illegals that have just come in the Biden administration, suddenly house prices drop, and suddenly egg prices drop, gas prices drop. So crime goes down. Affordability in general. So I think they're going to lean into that issue as well. But yeah, there is an affordability crisis, especially with young people, with younger folks in America. So I've heard that a lot. I'm sure you have as well.
Oh, I have, and there's no doubt. I mean, there's still some hurting going on out there, but this is the big but. I do believe that things are starting to line out, especially with regard to what the feds are doing, and bringing down interest rates. And I think we're going to see another cut sometime over the next, I'm going to say 60 to 90 days. I think another one's going to happen. And what you said, Tom, is absolutely spot on right. With so many illegals who, by the way, a lot of them, if not most of them, are receiving federal benefits, tax dollars, with regard to services that it's been a drain on our economy, and it's like sucking the life out of it. So that's, as that gets straightened out, hopefully by the grace of God, we're going to start seeing and continue to see an improvement that's going to happen. I think certainly by the end of the first, if not the beginning of the second quarter.
Exactly right. I think that's right. And I've heard some reports that housing prices have somewhat peaked. There was a report the other day that there is now a high rate of what they call delistings. So in other words, people have had their house on the market for so long, they've decided to take it off the market. And so that's a sign that, they cannot sell it at the price that they were asking for. And of course, we all know, if you've paid attention to your tax bill the past, about 4 or 5 years, that, your appraisal value on your house has shot up quite a bit in the past decade. And that's primarily because of, the lower housing stock, because of such demand. We've had all this demand. And so because of immigration coming in. And where do these people have to live somewhere, right? And so one reason why you're seeing apartment buildings being built all over the city, you see a brand new apartment complex being built behind you in your neighborhood, that's because of illegal immigration, bottom line. Because the only reason there's demand for apartments is because we have that many more people in the country. And guess what? A lot of these people are getting government assistance to get those apartments. They're getting government assistance to go to Walmart and buy the eggs, and that's why the egg prices are gone up. And so we're basically paying for our own inflation. Government, our tax money is funding this inflation problem, and it's all because of policy from the government. And so it's just ridiculous. But
before we pivot to another subject, I do want to read a text that just came in, and they said, I believe the battery plant issue is sad for the people, but it is just another look at product supply and demand, because the government was supposedly going to basically demand that you buy electric cars, which is true. Then the plant would have moved forward. But thank goodness the government got out of the way, thanks to Trump. So now the business people are trying to figure out the best plan to fix the problem by using it for a purpose or product that will sell to the public. Basic
that's right.
Economics 101. And they go on to say, businesses close every day, and look at the craziness that went on during COVID. So many companies went out of business.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. The market needs to play out. If you start artificially manipulating the market for political, ideological ends, it always fails. That's why we had the 2008 housing crisis. You know where that came from? Government policy encouraging mortgage loans to people that were underqualified. And so suddenly the mortgage companies said, "Oh, okay, the government's going to back us. We'll just give loans to everybody." And guess who they gave a lot of loans to, Bob? That is sort of the underreported reason for the 2008 housing crisis. They gave a lot of loans to illegal immigrants, right?
No, go figure.
And guess what? They could just leave the country and the mortgage, implodes.
Yep.
So that's one reason why we had the 2008 housing crisis, because government policy encouraged mortgage lenders to give to illegals, which then, they defaulted, and boom, we destroyed the economy for the past 20 years. And so the government needs to get out of the marketplace. It just doesn't. It's not good at it. It doesn't help. And listen, I've got family members who have an electric car, have a Tesla. It's a great car. It's really cool. It's fast.
Phenomenal car, yeah.
It's an awesome car, But if you want an electric car, go buy one. That's fine. Maybe it's good for you, but you shouldn't be forced to do it. We shouldn't have all these government mandates to try to encourage it. It should just be another option in the marketplace that you can have. And they're not any more, they're not easier on the environment than a gas car, because you look at what it takes to build a battery, all the lithium mining and all this stuff. It's just as much CO2 usage in building a electric car as it is a gas car. And anyway, but they're
well, I'm with you
cars.
on that.
Yeah.
In fact, something huge happened yesterday in Frankfort.
We need a segue. Okay, that's our segue to go to this clip.
That's our segue, brother.
There we go. Thanks for keeping me on track today. Appreciate it. Here we go. Let me play this clip, Mr. Producer.
Yeah.
So.
Top stories here on the night team. Earlier this year, Kentucky's Senate and House effectively passed a bill bringing a monument of the 10 Commandments right back to the Capitol grounds in Frankfort. Kentucky was given the monument in 1971 by the Fraternal Order of Eagles. It stood in Monument Park on the Capitol grounds. It was removed in 1980 for construction, but was then blocked because of what's called the Lemon Act, a now defunct law abandoned by the Supreme Court in 2019, which differentiates religious and secular motives in government policy to abide by the Establishment Clause. Now, the monument made its return after the bill passed in both the Senate and the House here in Kentucky.
There we go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There we go. Very symbolic.
Incredible.
It's symbolic, but it's an important symbolic issue. You know, listen, this is a Judeo-Christian country. This is founded on Western values of the Western civilization, which are founded upon, you know, Jerusalem. You know, the Bible and also Athens, but mostly the Bible. And so this is appropriate to show where our laws start. Our laws started from the Ten Commandments. You know, that's where our system of law comes from. And so, but
yeah, it's just to me, it's again basic common sense, basic, and what you said so very true. Without laws set in place, you know, you're going to have chaos. And that's the really cool thing about this particular. In fact, David Walls is going to be our guest tomorrow with the head of the Family Foundation here in Kentucky. He's putting together a great show, and he's going to go into even more detail about what just happened. But I'll say real quickly, he just happened to be up there at the cap. No, he didn't get any word from the governor or anybody else.
No invitation.
That the monument, go figure, I know, was being put back up. And he just happened to be up there, and he said he had heard that it was going to be going back up. He walked over, and lo and behold, literally while he was there, they were setting it in place, and he was able to fortunately capture some video, which I think he's going to share tomorrow. He's been talking to our director, Daniel, about it. So it's incredible. It's exciting times, folks.
It really is.
You know, a lot of people get down in the dumps. You know, it's Christmas season can be also very depressing, but we want to encourage you. God's got a better way. God's got control.
That's
first
right.
and foremost.
And opponents to that would say, well, you're just trying to impose your religion. You know, what are you doing? Separation of church and state and all this stuff. Well, listen, every law is based on some sort of morality, right? Every law is written with an understanding of a moral view of the world. And so whenever you say that, oh, get your religion out of politics, well, what you're saying is, no, I want my religion to be the dominant religion that underwrites all the laws. Your religion's bad, you know? And so that's what they're saying, because there has to be an existential worldview behind every law and a moral judgment behind every law.
That's right.
And so there is no this idea that, you know, there's no religion, the secular, marketplace. There is no secular marketplace. Every law has a moral component to it. Morality is based on existential views of the world. What is that? That's a religious view of the world. And so bottom line, this is a Judeo-Christian country. It was founded that way. And as soon as it gets away from that, it falls apart. And that's why we're seeing the problems we have right now, because we've gotten away from that foundation. So this is symbolic to help us get us back on track. Thanks for watching today. Appreciate our guest. Merry Christmas. We'll be back.